Is Dallas actually worth moving to? And if so, where? And how bad is the traffic? Today I'm answering the most brutal questions about living in Dallas. And I'm Levi Lascsak, a local real estate agent here, and I've lived here for over 25 years, and I've helped hundreds of families find their perfect home here in Dallas. And I'm here to answer your questions about Dallas real estate. All right, question number one is from Daniel.Mercer23. My buddy keeps telling me property taxes in Dallas will bankrupt me. Is he being dramatic, or should I actually be worried? All right, Daniel, I mean, your buddy's not completely wrong. I mean, Dallas property taxes are high and can go up to 2.4%. So say on a $400,000 house, you could be paying close to $10,000 a year, and that's a lot of money. But here's the thing that they're probably not thinking about. We don't have a state income tax in Texas. And if you're making pretty good money, let's say at least 80 grand a year or above, you're paying over 3,000 just in state income tax somewhere like California. Plus you get the homestead exemption, which they've just increased to 140,000. So let's say you have a $540,000 home, you'll only be taxed on $400,000 of that home. And if you're even a higher income earner, then the no state income tax is really going to benefit you way more than the property taxes. And if you're over 65 as a senior, they're looking at eliminating property taxes altogether. And if you're a veteran with 100% disability, you will eliminate property taxes altogether, which Texas is only one of 2 states that does that. So if you're a disabled veteran looking to retire in Texas, that's going to save you a ton of money. All right, question number 2 is from Alicia Grant _24. I keep seeing people online trash Dallas compared to Austin and Houston. What's that about? Is Dallas really that much worse? All right, Dallas does get kind of a little bit of a bad rap online. We're always getting called soulless and corporate, while Austin gets to be weird and cool. And Houston, I don't know, they're cultural, I guess you could say. But, you know, we've got 25 Fortune 500 companies here, so everyone thinks that it's all suits and fancy cars, while you're looking at the average $30,000 millionaire here, where people are always trying to keep this facade that they make a lot more money than they actually do. But here's my take on that. I mean, way more job opportunity in the Dallas area because of those reasons. It is a more business-friendly environment, not only from the corporate standpoint, but also from the entrepreneurial standpoint. Then you think about traffic. I mean, Austin is landlocked and has some water features that limit the highway system around there. So traffic is 10 times worse in Austin, and it's even more terrible in Houston because they do back up onto the Gulf as well. So they also have some limitations based on water. But Houston, way more humid than Dallas. On top of that, we have a little bit more of a dry heat up in Dallas. So when it comes to weather, I think it beats out Houston by far. But then Austin too is also considered the California of Texas. So even though a lot of people are trying to get out of California or the Pacific Northwest because of certain laws, regulations, taxes, school agendas, and then they move to Austin and they kind of run into the same thing down there. So even though, yeah, they've got some better hills down there, Dallas is a little bit more flat. Dallas is a lot cleaner. Traffic is way better, and you got a lot more job opportunity. Plus the development that's happening in the Dallas area is creating a ton of jobs, anywhere from blue collar all the way through white collar, healthcare, tech, everything. And it's attracting a lot of corporations moving from out of state as well. All right, so question number 3 is from Jordan.Phillips87, and he says, I've heard a few people talk about the traffic in Dallas. My wife works remote and I commute into the city. How bad is it really? Well, I mean, Dallas, I just looked this up. They're ranked like the 17th worst city in the United States for traffic. But actually, I think it's not that bad. I've actually lived in New York for a year. I lived in Chicago for a year, and traffic is 10 times worse in those areas. Now, if you're living up in the suburbs, anywhere north of Plano, Frisco, Prosper, Salina, which are really hot spots right now, and you're commuting every day to downtown, then you do have to deal with rush hour traffic, but it keeps moving to an extent. And if you're on the west side and you're able to take the Dallas North Tollway, even though you're paying tolls, it's, the traffic moves a lot better on the tollway, which is why people choose to pay that difference. So it really does depend. I mean, it's something that if you can leave a little bit earlier, if you're going into the office, or even in the morning and the afternoon, you got to look between 7 to 9 is going to be the worst times. 3 to 5 is going to be the worst times as well. So maybe even shifting your commute time in there, or if you're only going to go into the office a couple of days a week, then it may not be so bad. But I don't know, if you're a fan of audiobooks or podcasts or something like that too, you could also look at the time in traffic as a learning experience or opportunity. But we do have a lot of construction going on all the time on the highways. They're always rerouting them. 635 is under a massive redevelopment right now. But they've added on the west side of 635, actually, they built highways under the highway. And if you've ever taken those, almost to no traffic, the express lanes, almost no traffic. And so that's another way you can beat the traffic, by paying a little extra with tolls. All right, question number 4 is from Taco Tuesday King. All right, really, this person really loves tacos. Just dropping this so you can tell people how hot it actually is in Dallas. People think they know, but they don't actually know until they get here. Please warn them that it is hot, really hot. Well, I mean, I grew up in Texas, so I guess I'm conditioned to it now. But yes, we will have several days, if not weeks, sometimes months, with over 100-degree heat during the summertime. Now, again, it's more of a dry humidity, if that makes sense. Up in the Dallas area, we are in the North Texas area, so it's not as humid as Houston or Austin. Plus, we do have lakes. We've got 5 lakes, massive lakes, within 10 to 30 minutes, depending on where you live in the Dallas area, that you can get to. So we do love the lake life. It's a great way to cool off. All of the new master plan communities usually have 2 to 3 pools. Some of them are building beaches and lagoons, splash pads for the kids. So there's a lot of ways that you can cool off. We've got Hurricane Harbor too, which is a major water park in the Arlington area right next to Six Flags. So there's plenty of ways you can beat the heat, but also just kind of hanging out indoors sometimes during the hottest part of the day. That helps out as well. But the mornings are always amazing. The evenings are great. And then in the fall and the spring, we get 3 months of absolutely perfect weather. And the winter is not too bad. Usually it's like half of January and February is the worst part of it. It is a different type of cold here. I will say it's a lot colder, at least the feeling is, than it does feel in Chicago or New York. That is a different type of cold, because like 40 degrees here is miserable, to be honest. When it's 40 degrees up in Chicago or New York, it doesn't feel that bad. Well, actually, Chicago, if the wind's blowing, then absolutely terrible. Again, I lived in Chicago for a year. That the wind was crazy. I never felt that type of cold before in my life. And hey, by the way, if you're enjoying these answers about Dallas, Texas, make sure you subscribe so you're the first to learn about the current market here in Dallas. And if you're thinking about moving here, my team and I would be happy to help you make a smooth move to Dallas. So all of our information is in the description or on the screen. All right, question number 5 is from Caffeine Overlord. All right, must really love your caffeine. I'm thinking about moving to Dallas with my wife and kids. My wife and 2 kids. Are there any places you'd recommend for families that are within 30-minute drive to Dallas? I mean, I could recommend a lot of places, but it really does come down to your individual situation and your family situation. And so what exactly are you looking for? But yes, there is a ton of locations throughout Dallas within 30 minutes. I mean, you've got Plano, you've got Richardson. I mean, even Frisco, if you're hitting the tollway. Prosper, if there's no traffic. You've got Rockwall, I mean, East Dallas, I mean, all the neighborhoods within the Dallas area. So just depending on what you're looking for, then yes, you can find a ton of activity and a ton of great places within a 30-minute drive. And if you look at school rankings, I mean, anything really outside of Dallas County, if it comes to public schools, and that's what you're looking at for your kids, if it's outside of Dallas County, there are a few neighborhoods or pockets within Dallas County that have some really good school districts, but I would always recommend that you check that online. You can look at niche.com or greatschools.org are really good references, but anything like Plano, even Richardson, McKinney, Frisco, Prosper, Salina, I mean, all of those areas have tremendous public schools. And so typically people with kids are looking for that first. and you could keep an eye on those areas. But then if you're looking at price ranges as well, I've mentioned in a few other videos, I think if you're trying to stay close to downtown, like Richardson is a really close suburb that has a lot of great deals. I actually saw a beautiful home there for $290,000. Now, it was a 1970s home, but it had been completely remodeled on the inside. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, if I recall. I mean, and it was done very, very well, at least from what I could see on the online pictures. So to find something under 300,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, that close to Dallas in a good area and a good school district. Again, I've talked about Richardson being kind of a sleeper city that a lot of people are kind of overlooking right now, so that's a good option. But even as you move up to Plano or Frisco, you can still find some good deals, and the development that's happening in the Frisco and prosperous Salina area is going to grow the North Dallas area tremendously. All right, question number 6 is from Marcus_Rollins91. Planning to buy a house in the next 6 months in either Frisco or Salina. Any big mistakes that you see people make when they buy a home in Dallas, or anything I should know? Yeah, biggest mistake is not giving us a call. So that's number 1. Number 2, you know, if it's an older home, or at least within the last 10 years as well, you definitely want to check out foundational issues. Now, if the home is in place for, 20, 30, 40 years, it's probably already gone through its own settlement there, but we're built on black clay here. So it's really critical, especially if you buy new construction homes, that you have some sort of a sprinkler or water system around the foundation of your home, because that's when a lot of the settling happens within the first 5 years. And if you don't keep the ground moist, especially during the summer, we are known to go 3 to 4 months sometimes without rain. It can completely dry up the area, and that's what shifts foundations and cracks in. So when you go to look at homes, if they're established, you want to look at the corners, you want to look at the ceiling, see if there's any drywall offsets, if there's any cracks by doors, open doors, and see if they will close on their own. You could even take a tennis ball, put it in the middle of the house, see if it starts rolling off in one direction. So a couple of tips and tricks you could do there, but of course, always have a home inspection done before you close on the house. But mainly too, if you're looking in new construction areas, you have to know if you're going to be in a MUD or a PID district. So that's a municipal utility district or a public improvement district. And so those are bonds that actually developers will add on to the communities as they build them out. It's basically a tax. So that could range anywhere from $100 to $300, $400, $500 a month in addition to. And so we've talked to people that have worked with other agents that didn't make them aware of that, or maybe they didn't know themselves. And so once they got into the home, that was, tacked on to their monthly payment. And that can mean a lot for some people, just that big difference. And you asked about Frisco and Salina in particular. Well, Frisco, there is so much development happening in Frisco. I think property values are going to continue to hold steady and rise there. I mean, you've got Universal Kids Resort that's going to be opening in 2026. You've got Fields West. I mean, the whole Fields development, as well as the hottest new community in all of the North Dallas area. Salina has a massive amount of development going in there as well. Legacy Hills is a new master plan community with its own golf club and golf course that will be on top of that. And now they're adding in Costco's, Walmart's, HEB's, and Home Depot and Lowe's up in Salina. And anytime you see those types of retail giants going into a location, the housing and the jobs are going to follow, because clearly they've got to hire, and that's going to create a lot of construction jobs. But even once they're finished, a lot of employment opportunity for there. And I think that typically means that you're going to have kind of a built-in appreciation over the next 5, 10 to 15 years in Frisco and Salina, just because of the amount of development. But also you want to keep in mind HOAs. I'm not against HOAs in single family home communities. I think they're very important, especially when it comes to resale, to help kind of keep the neighborhood under control. You don't want overgrown lawns or broken down boats or cars in driveways, people with purple houses necessarily. Nothing against people with purple houses, but sometimes if you're in a really nice community, someone's not looking to move next door to the purple house. So the HOAs do help that, but now that these communities are also building a ton of amenities in there, you could be looking at $200 to $500 a month as well, just from HOA fees. All right, question number 7 is from Skylar37. All right, trying to decide between Dallas and North Dallas, what are some of the biggest differences? I've heard a lot about Frisco and Plano, but the prices are pretty high. Are these areas that nice, or would I be overpaying? Well, I think Frisco and Plano are really completely different. Plano's way more established. It was built out in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And so you're going to see much older homes there. You're not seeing really any master plan communities that are, hundreds or thousands of acres in Plano, because it's pretty much built out. So what you see is either moving into older homes and completely remodeling them, or tearing them down, and you'll see new construction homes go in one at a time just on lots. Or you'll find a lot and just build from new. The only real new construction as far as a community that's happening inside of Plano might be a little city block or something where they decide to squeeze in like 10 or 20 townhomes. There is still very affordable housing in Plano, but you're typically going to find an older home. Most of them have been remodeled. Some of them will need some work just depending on your taste, but you could still find homes in the 200s and 300s and 400,000. That's not that rare. So you can find something affordable, but it just depends on what you're looking to. I mean, if you get into something that needs some work at a lower price and you're able to remodel it while you live there, then, after 2 years, you have the homestead exemption when it comes to taxes. If you're married and you sell that home and you make up to $500,000, that is tax free. If you're single, up to $250,000. So if you increase the equity in that home over the next 2 years, it could allow you to upgrade and maybe use the difference, which would be tax free profit basically from the sale of that house, as a down payment to something else. Frisco is pretty much all new construction homes that started in the early 2000s. So if you find an older home in Frisco, it's typically going to be like built maybe late 90s, but more like early 2000s. Those are considered the old homes, but there's still so many new construction communities. Fields, as I mentioned earlier, one of the newest communities that is master plan. It's over 2,500 acres. Well over 15,000 homes, for all different varieties, from single family to massive compounds to townhomes that will be in that development. So there's a lot that's happening. You can find some good deals on new construction right now, and a lot of people just want to start from scratch and move into a brand new home. So yes, the deals are there. It depends on you and your situation. That's why we say to give us a call. Again, all of our information is in the description or on the screen, because once we talk with you in your personal situation, we can find a deal in any market. All right, question number 8 is from Claire Benson TX. I'm single, just getting out of college. Home prices are going up and rates are also high. I've lived in Dallas all my life and love it here, but I am worried if I'll be able to actually afford a home. What should I do? And yeah, that's a big concern for a lot of people. The average home in Dallas, I mean, just in 2020 was actually less than 300,000. Now that's well over 400,000 now. And I mean, right now we're seeing 6.5% interest rates. I don't think that's that bad. A lot of people do. And I remember one house I purchased in 2019. I got it for a 5% interest rate. And at that time, I mean, that was a great deal. A point and a half above that now. I don't think that's the end of the world, but it does make a difference on the amount of home you can afford. Now, rates have just dropped significantly just within the last month or so. And as we move into fourth quarter of 2025, we're expected to drop even more. But that is a difference on maybe getting a $500,000 house versus a $540,000 house at the same interest rate. So that does make a big difference. But also you can do a rate buy down right now. Sellers are willing to offer concessions. Even new home builders are willing to offer concessions for rate buy downs. And what that means is you can buy down your rate either 3 points or 2 points. If you find a home right now and we get concessions from a seller to buy down your rate, instead of a 6.5, you'll have a 3.5% interest rate for the next year. And next year, it'll go up to 4.5%. And the year after that, it'll go to 5.5%. And then after the third year, it locks back in at the 6.5%. Now, the rationale behind that is hopefully within the next 3 years, rates come down. And if they come down to, 5 or 5.5, and you think that's good to lock in that mortgage, then you could refinance. And if you can refinance within the first 2 years, I think that's a really great deal. And so that's what we're kind of betting on. That's what we're working on with people right now, doing the buy downs, but getting the sellers to pay for that. But again, it also depends on loan qualifications as well. So you said you just got out of college. I don't know your age. I'm going to assume maybe lower 20s right now. So, I mean, how much money do you have saved? How much do you have for down payment? Is somebody helping you with that? Are the parents helping out? Because you can do different down payments, but that can also affect rates. That can affect, monthly payments, and then also your credit. Where does that fall in line? So overall, that's why we always say, hey, to reach out. We have an individual conversation about you and your particular situation. We work with the best lender in the Dallas, Texas area, and he will tell us if we have an opportunity to move forward or not based on all of those situations. And then once we know what we're working with based on your credit, your down payment, and your budget, what you're looking to work in, we can find a deal. All right, question number 9 is from Anthony.Dawson22. Looking at new construction homes in Dallas. He says there are so many builders to pick from. Who would you recommend or not recommend? Well, I mean, that's kind of a loaded question as well. Again, it really comes down to you and your personal situation, what you're looking for. I mean, we have builders that we have great relationships. I mean, a lot of these builders build really good homes. Highland Homes, Southgate, Tradition. We've had a lot of good luck with. I don't want to say the ones that we haven't had good experiences with, but when you call us, I will definitely tell you those builders. I don't want to bash them necessarily on YouTube here, so I'll keep that between us in a private conversation. But there are some builders you definitely want to steer clear from, and that's why we always recommend to give us a call. I know a lot of people watch our videos where we tour a lot of new construction in these communities, and then they'll go straight to a builder, and then they end up having bad experiences. And you got to remember that rep that you meet at that home works directly for the builder. So, I'm not saying they're going to do anything nefarious, but they do have the builder's best interest in mind initially. So whenever they represent you and the builder, I don't think you're going to get the best deal possible. So you may think you're going to save a little bit on, our commission or something like that. But again, I think it's well worth it to have representation on your side. We read the fine print. We've also got great relationships. We know if they can even offer some more incentives, and we can push them a little bit more. And then also when we've done multiple deals with some of these builders, they want to help us even more. So they may unlock some hidden incentives that you may not just get just going there on your own. All right, question number 10 is from Disco Llama 88. Well, I'm loving these screen names. Really something funny. Where do you see the future of Dallas in the next 5 to 10 years? I mean, Dallas is continuing to blow up. You have to think about that. We're not waterlocked and we're not landlocked. So we don't back up to mountains. We don't back up to rivers, lakes. Well, we do have lakes, but we just build around the lakes. Ocean. So Dallas is going to keep expanding. Actually, we'll expand the Dallas Metroplex, mark my words, to Oklahoma. And that's going to be spurred by just the growth in Sherman alone, where Texas Instruments, which is one of the biggest semiconductor manufacturers in the U.S., is moving their operations. They built out several campuses, and they've got more campuses to come in Sherman, and that's very close to the Oklahoma border. So you're going to start seeing real estate grow quite significantly just in Sherman. We're not too far from there already when you go to Salina or Van Alstyne or Gunter. I mean, those are not that far from Sherman. They're actually probably closer to Sherman and Oklahoma than they are downtown Dallas. Frisco is becoming the new hub of the Dallas area. And I've also said that Dallas-Fort Worth, or DFW, will become DFFW, Dallas, Frisco, Fort Worth. Actually, the mayor adopted that phrase from us and has started calling the area DFFW. So Frisco will become the new hub, the new central point, and those that are living around the Frisco area will have easy access to all the way up to Oklahoma and then to downtown Dallas, and even over to Fort Worth. Still have easy access to the airport. And then on top of that, on the border of Frisco and Plano is where they're building a lot of the high rises, and that's also becoming like the new downtown area, you could say, that rivals downtown Dallas. So overall, I think no matter where you buy up here in the North Dallas area in the next 5 to 10 years, it'll be better now rather than later. And I know some people are predicting a market crash every day, but here's the deal. If you plan to live in your house, which you should be at least 5 years, if not 10, and actually the average person stays in their home 13 years now, then it's going to be worth more at that point. Unless you try to sell in the middle of a market downturn or a market crash, then you should be okay. But overall, real estate has always been a really good long-term investment. Now, if you come here and you're just going to live here for a year or two, it's probably not ideal to buy a home and then think you're just going to, flip it for $50,000 or $100,000 profit. Could happen, but not likely. So again, just really depending on your situation, what you're looking to do in your long-term goals, and which we always consider all of that whenever we have a conversation with you. All right, question 11 is Natalie_Stevens. I've lived in Dallas for the last 20 years and I've seen it change so much in the last few years and it feels like I'm getting crowded. Do you feel like we really need more people moving here? Well, I mean, I can't stop it. Nobody's going to stop it. And as long as corporations keep moving here, all of these developments keep happening. I mean, the opportunity is what it is here. I mean, but again, like I said, we're not landlocked or waterlocked, so Dallas is going to keep expanding. But I think what you find is that most people, when you move into your community, you do everything probably within a 3 to 5 mile radius. I mean, if you think about it, so if you move into Prosper or Frisco, most people do everything they need to do within that little area. If you move to downtown Dallas, you do everything within that area. I used to live in Old East Dallas, and I did everything within really probably about a mile to two. So even 3 to 5 miles stretches it out. But I had everything I needed, within my neighborhood. And if you come up to any of these communities in the North Dallas area, they now have schools inside the communities, right outside on the main roads. You have easy highway access. You've got grocery stores. You've got shopping, restaurants, everything you need just outside these communities. So typically, maybe just depending on how close you are to your neighbor, whenever you move into a community, there are some communities that are building homes right next to each other. If you want some land, you've got some of the outskirts of some of these neighborhoods or suburbs that have acre lots or something like that. So if you are feeling a little cramped, that might be ideal for you. And you can find some of those in East Dallas, Northeast Dallas, and even parts of North Dallas. If you come up here to Salina or even Van Alstyne, you can still find some home sites with 1 acre. If that gives you a little bit of breathing room. So again, it just depends on what you're looking for. I mean, I liked whenever I was in Dallas, I kind of miss the closeness of everything and just, I just feel like I was in the middle of it all. I come out here to the north suburbs, I feel like it's a little bit more spaced out. So sometimes it's just what your personal preference is. All right, question number 12 is from Thomas Kingwell. RIP to what the Cowboys used to be in the 90s. Oh, we got to bring in a Cowboys reference, huh? My dad used to watch them play when I was younger, finally moving back to Dallas after 20 years, and I'm wondering if the sports scene is still the same. Actually, it's changed a little bit. I mean, yes, we still reminisce on the 90s glory of America's team, and by the way, the Cowboys are still America's team, so let's not debate that unless you want to try in the comments, but we'll still shoot you down. Mavericks, I remember when the Mavericks won their championship in 2011. That was pretty exciting. Rangers just won a championship, their first ever in 2023. I think it was 2009 and 2010. They went back-to-back to the World Series and lost both of them. That was devastating, but they redeemed themselves finally. 2023. Stars just were in the Stanley Cup Finals. Blew it again. Those guys, they won in... when did they win? They won in, was it 2000? Maybe, yeah, Stars won the Stanley. So all the teams here now have a championship in place. So that's pretty cool. The games are, they're great to go to. They're a lot of fun. And now you've got FC Dallas, the soccer team, which is actually based in Frisco. You've got the Rough Riders, which is the minor league team, also in Frisco. So if you're in the northern area, those are two great little stadiums to go to. They've relocated the Cowboys practice center to Frisco, and that's called the Star District. That's a pretty popular hangout with restaurants and bars and shopping and even a little practice field that's outside. The Cowboys don't use that one, but you can go out there, take the kids. They love to play around, throw the football, and overall, yeah, you find some tickets. I mean, the World Cup is coming in 2026, so that should be a lot of fun. We're going to see if we can get tickets to that for sure. But yeah, what you will see though here in Dallas is when you go to a sports bar, you're going to see like 50% Cowboys jerseys, and then you're going to see a Steelers jersey and a Giants jersey and a Ravens jersey because so many people moved here. I actually lived in New Orleans for a while as well. When you go to New Orleans, nothing but Saints jerseys, everywhere. I mean, people don't typically move to New Orleans for job opportunity. And it's an embedded culture there. If you wear a Cowboys jersey there, which I did, by the way, and you are not welcome. It's very interesting. You go to New York, you're pretty much going to see all Giants and Jets wherever you go. You're not typically going to see a ton of other, jerseys, maybe a little mix. I mean, Chicago the same way, but Dallas is such a hub of where people are moving to, and they carry their teams with them. But we'll work on them. We'll get them converted over to the Cowboys or the Stars or the Mavericks before too long. But you will see that mix whenever you go out. And there you have it, the answers to your top 12 questions about Dallas, Texas. Again, if you're thinking about making that move, all of my information is in the description or on the screen. We help hundreds of families move to the Dallas area every single year as the #1 relocation team here in Dallas. And as I mentioned as well, if you're continuing your search, you want to check out this video on the top new construction communities. I just completed a video on that. And then until then, we hope to show you around town.